Hi, my name is Mark and I'm on a mission to rebuild this World War II era airplane that flew in Guam in the early 1940s. A pretty interesting background story that I'm going to share with you and how I ended up with this thing sitting in my garage at my house. Well, about 3 months ago, my wife said, you need to get another hobby. You need to do something. You're driving me crazy. She said, you can get a boat, get another airplane, do something, but you need to be working on something because you're driving me absolutely. So I started looking at it. I've done boats in the past. I've done sailboat refits. I've done motorcycles and made cafe racers and those types of things. But really, I have never done an airplane. And I'm a private pilot, but I'm not an A&P or an IA. But I did start thinking about doing an experimental. Around the same time, one of my uncles reached out to me because we're working on something together as a family. See, and this is where things kind of crazy. This all started from a grandfather clock. This grandfather clock. There's a grandfather clock in our family. It's been in the family since the early 1700s. And it's been handed down to the eldest son of every generation since that time. And so my brother has the grandfather clock, but there was a question about lineage, and one of my uncles contacted me. And so I called my mom and said, could you send me a digital copy of the book? I want to look for this question that he had. And when I was looking for that particular question, having nothing to do with airplanes, nothing to do with the grandfather clock, just something completely different, I came across this page right here in this book, and I'll put it up on the screen. It's a picture of my grandfather in different stages of his aviation career. I knew him as a pilot who was a dive bomber in World War II. I knew he trained in the Dauntless, and I knew he flew Hellcats and things like that occasionally, but I did not really understand what he did. I knew in the Korean War he was a jet pilot, but beyond that I really didn't know much. And I found this page where he's standing next to what looks like a Cessna or a Piper. I didn't know any difference. I've never flown a high wing before. I'm a low wing guy. When I saw this, it kind of raised some questions. I didn't know what it was. So I took the picture and I put it into AI. I said, what is this plane? And it popped up. It said it's an L-5 Stinson. It was a liaison plane that was used widely throughout World War II for forward observation and a host of other different types of things having to do with liaison work. And that kind of interested me because I'd never known my grandfather to even fly this. So I contacted one of my uncles and he started telling me about, yeah, Grandpa used to fly this plane. Yes, he was trained as a dive bomber, but they volunteered to work as forward observation, where essentially they'd fly over water level and pop up above the trees, and they'd take either photograph reconnaissance, or they would fly over particular areas and find where the enemy was, and then they radio in artillery strikes and things along those lines. They were used as ambulances. There was used a lot of different things that really kind of struck me. I had never known anything about this particular type of aircraft, much less his service with it. So I went down this rabbit hole discovering this. At the same time, I'm looking at maybe I should do this as a tribute plane. The name of his plane was the Coral Gerty. This is the one that he flew most often, my understanding is anyway, in Guam in between 1944 and 46, late 44 and early 46. And so I've got several pictures of this plane with him flying it. And so I was really excited about this. And so I thought, well, geez, if I can just find an airframe and get some wings, get an engine, start putting one together, because as I looked through it, found out that the actual Coral Gerty had been crashed, I think in Okinawa a year or two after the war. So that actual plane didn't exist anymore. But the other L-5s that were throughout the war, there are still a handful of those still out there. Then I went to Facebook and I found a Facebook group, the L-5 Owners Group. And I just put a picture of the Coral Gerty up there and said, hey, does anybody know about this plane? Nobody had ever seen that picture before. And so they were able to trace it back, give me some history on it, which was wonderful. Trace it right back to where my grandfather was in Guam during those years. And this group of people and the Facebook group were so welcoming and so wonderful. All the people on the Facebook group were unbelievably helpful. Everybody wanted to reach out and learn more about my grandfather's service, but also wanted to educate me about the plane itself. And I thought that was fantastic. And so I spent the next couple of weeks really learning more and more about it. And I thought, geez, I'm gonna do this. So I contacted one of the people in the group who's in the Netherlands. I knew he had some airframes and he might have some engines and he might have some wings. So I contacted him and he did in fact have all of these things and said he could put together a package for me. He said, you know what, where are you? And I said, I'm in Florida. And he's like, well, that's too bad because there's a guy I know who's probably had more time in the L-5 than anybody else. He's an A&P IA, and what he does for a living is he restores World War II era planes. You name it, this guy works on it. But his passion is the L-5. He has a personal L-5, a couple of them, I think. And you really got to get to know him. His name's Sam Tabor, and if you're ever in East Troy, Wisconsin, you got to go see this guy. East Troy, Wisconsin just happened to be 5 minutes from where we raised our kids for the last 20 years. So of course I reached out to Sam and said, hey, can I take you to lunch? And he said, no, come to the hangar. So I go to the hangar and we spent a couple hours one afternoon, walked me through everything I could possibly want to know about the L-5 and his passion for it. He showed me the planes that he's working on, and then he showed me his collection, and was just so helpful in every way. It was just remarkable to have that experience where I can talk to somebody who really knows the airplane. And then he says, I got a guy in the Las Vegas area who might have a project you might be interested in. At the same time, another person, a historian of the L-5s, reaches out and says the exact same thing. There's a guy named Duncan, and he had restored one of the best L-5s in the country, one that actually was at Iwo Jima, had bullet holes in it, and this guy, complete frame all the way up restoration, one of the most beautiful and perfect specimens that I've seen done, and he's out in somewhere around Las Vegas area. He said, you might want to check this guy out. He might have a plane that he got from somebody else that he might be interested in sharing with you. So of course I reach out to him. I talked to him for quite a while about the airplane, and I'll tell you what a great guy. He just shared with me a whole lot about the history of the L-5. He literally wrote the book on it. I bought one of those books. It's a coffee table book of the restoration of his plane. And again, just learning more and more about it and so on. Well, the plane that he was talking about is actually a plane that was being built by somebody else, a guy named Jim McDonald. Now, this guy is a Golden Lindy award-winning builder who was starting the restoration of an L-5 and ran into some life circumstances where he just couldn't finish the plane, and it ended up in Duncan's hangar, and apparently that has been there for the last, I don't know, I think like 15 years. And he had no intentions of letting it go. And so we spoke for quite a while that first time. A little while later, he contacted me and said, you know what, I've sat down and looked when your grandfather was there, I've looked at this, and I think this is for you, and I think I'm going to be willing to let it go. That's when he told me that this plane was actually in VMO-8 in Guam, which was my grandfather's squadron, at the exact same time my grandfather was there. It just warmed my heart to know that this plane was in his squadron at the exact time. And so he let it go, and it's sitting in my garage right now. And that's how I've got it right now, is because this plane was in Guam and part of my grandfather's squadron. He may have even flown it. We're trying to locate where his logs are for that time period to see if he actually flew this plane. But that's why I'm restoring this. This plane is something I had to have and something I absolutely have to do to be a tribute to the men and his service there during that time. I want to bring some awareness to this model. I had no idea this even existed. And so I'm excited to learn more about it. There's a lot of work. There's going to be tons and tons of things I'm going to have to learn to do along the way. Now, this is going to end up going as an experimental exhibition. That way I can work on it as not being an A&P, but I understand, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to be concerned about this, working with A&Ps to make sure that this work is done properly and exactly as it should be. We're going to be working with the FSDO to make sure everything, all the paperwork lines up, everything from the engine to the wings. I'm going to learn so much going through this, and I want to take you guys along with it. This video is going to be the first of several in a series that's going to go through the restoration of Coral Gerty, and it's going to be called Coral Gerty's Second Tour, and that's going to be the name of the channel. So every couple of weeks we're going to be posting a video, and we're going to put our progress and showing you what we're doing and how we're doing it. Because I find this process fascinating, and there's a lot of different things. There's going to be engine work, there's metal work, there's woodwork, there's fabric, because this is a wood, fabric, and metal aircraft. And so there's a lot of different things that are going to be going into this. We're going to bring this back to the condition it was when it arrived in Guam. So we're going to be doing it as a tribute to Coral Gerty. We're going to do the nose art exactly the same as the Coral Gerty was done. We're going to be doing the radios exactly as they were when they were on board. We're going to be doing absolutely everything we can to be as authentic and correct as we possibly can and bring it back to its original state so that people can learn about this. We can bring it to shows and teach people exactly what these people did during this time period. This is just such a remarkable chapter to be able to have the privilege to do this. And you know, I want to take and just thank those people who put me in contact with this and taught me about this. Jim Gray, Sam Tabor, Duncan Cameron. And probably the I need to say thank you to the most is going to be Jim McDonald. Thank you for your trust and having me take over this project and allowing me to bring this back to life and to honor the men who served in Guam, in VMO8. The honor is truly all mine. And I'm sure I'm forgetting half a dozen people too that I spoke to that have just been wonderful, helping me along the way, learning about this stuff. But I want to take all you guys with us, and I want to really just enjoy this whole process of a restoration from the ground up. So as we go through this process, please comment down below. We'd love to have your comments, but I will say, be nice. I'm going to make mistakes. I know you're going to hear me refer to this as an L5. It's a Marine version. It's actually an OI1, which is a designation that lets you know that it was used by the Marine Corps, which my grandfather was a Marine aviator. I'm going to say things that aren't exactly correct. This is not a teaching or how-to video. It's how we are doing it video. And I want to take you along for the ride because I'm going to mess things up. I'm going to have to do things probably 2 and 3 times. Hey, if it's worth doing once, it's worth doing twice. Just be nice in the comments. I definitely do want to hear your input. If you have suggestions or you see something that isn't right or should be done differently, please let me know, but be nice about it. If you'd like to help us, we would love to have your support. Go ahead and hit subscribe, and that's the very first thing you could do to help this channel along. If you think it's going to have value, share it. Put it on your Facebook page or share it with your friends. Anybody that you think would enjoy this project, please share it with them. The other thing you do is hit notify. Notify is just going to let you know when we post a new one, because I can't say that it's going to be every week or every other week or every third week. It's probably going to be every so often. 2 weeks this week, 1 week the next week, 3 weeks next week. So hit the notification button. All of these things are 100% free. If you'd like to help financially, we would absolutely love your financial help. We've set up a Patreon page. It's going to be in the link below. There's different levels that you can help contribute, as little as $5 a month. Every little bit helps, because this is not going to be an inexpensive project, but it's going to be one definitely worth doing. So thank you, like, share, subscribe, and in future, what we're gonna do is go through, we're gonna actually walk through the airplane on the next episode. We're gonna show you the condition that it's in. We're gonna take some inventory and try to see exactly what we're missing. And then from there, where we're gonna get different parts, and then we're gonna come up with a plan exactly how to eat this elephant. One bite at a time we're gonna have to do, but we're gonna get it done, and we're gonna get it done right. So welcome aboard, and we hope to have you watching this episode after episode, and look forward to seeing you.